What's up? What's up, Huddle family? Welcome back to Moms in the Huddle, the podcast where no moms or family stands alone. It's also the podcast where we talk about faith, family, and the real behind the scenes of raising a student athlete. I'm Jillian Blackwell. You might notice I'm like hanging out by myself today. We're switching up a little bit. Erica's actually on the road with her family for University of Michigan basketball football game. Go blue. So it's just me holding it down in the whole seat, but I'm not alone, you guys. Today's episode is called Beyond the Helmet. We are going to sit with Amir Herring and his mother, Christina Herring, and talking about the family football code or the football family code. And when I say I'm excited about this, I mean it's because today's guest are not just guests, they're my family. Christina Herring and I go way back when our kids, I don't know if it was elementary or middle school. I might be making up the elementary part, but they've been together for a long time. We've been just hanging out. I can imagine. I can just remember some days when we were in hotel lobbies, hanging out, carpools, learning how to keep schedules, like who's doing what. We've known each other through the early years when the dream was just a seed. Like our boys were just kind of playing around. And we just had the blessing to really watch those seeds that they planted and which we helped them plant just grow. And so we spent many years together with travel basketball. And if you know what that's like, it really creates a bond for life. Early mornings, late nights, again, like I said, hotel lobbies, tournament weekends. And I really have to do another shout out to the coaches, especially the organization here in the state of Michigan called the Family, because if it wasn't for that program, really building a community and building a whole culture, the coaches, the moms, the the coaches, the moms, and just the relationships that we have built, the accountability, support. I mean, we've watched each other kids, and we prayed for each other's kids, we fed each other's kids. And sometimes, believe it or not, even though we think our kids are great and fantastic, we had to correct each other's kids. And sometimes we had to correct some of the parents, right, Christina? Um, but that's what it means when you build a culture in a family. So today is just not a regular episode. It's so special to me. And let me tell you why it's special. This was last minute. We're gonna hold it down. We're gonna always bring moms in a huddle. And when I saw Christina came over. Jonathan was in town, and Amir came over to celebrate Jonathan's birthday. If you don't know, Jonathan's birthday is on Christmas, and so we celebrated that last minute. So here's another last minute. I asked Christina, "Oh, what day was that? Christmas Eve. Would you be my co-host, my guest?" And she said yes. And she's just such a blessing, her and her son. And so I just want to thank them before they even show their wonderful faces. Thank you so much for joining us again, because again, they're just not Amir and Christina, they're family members. So Huddle family, I was going to read their bios. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. Huddle family, help me welcome my sister and my friend, Christina Herring, and her handsome son who just had a birthday celebration as well, Amir Herring. Welcome to the Huddle.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us. So, can you introduce yourselves to us, Christina? First of all, I do have Amir's bio, so I'll read some of his accomplishments over the years. But Christina, oftentimes the moms are in the background, and we're the ones that's kind of pushing our children up front. But we want to hear about you. Who are you? What do you do professionally? How what's your family dynamics like? Just tell us about yourself.
Okay, well, thanks so much, Jill, for having us. I am excited about being here. Like Jill said, we are lifelong sisters.
Yeah.
But I am Christina Herring, the mother of Amir Herring, who is a scholar athlete currently at the University of Kansas. But for me, what I do from a professional level, I am the director of the Women, Infants, and Children program for the state of Michigan. So I oversee all of the local agencies in the WIC program for the state of Michigan. That has been truly a very rewarding experience. I've worked in public health for it's going into my 8th year with the state. Prior to that, I did an 18-month I had an 18-month experience as the CEO of a uh, of a foster care and foster care and adoption agency.
Yeah, I remember
And
that.
and then prior to that, I did 26 years with working
Wow.
in the financial industry with Comerica and NBD.
Wow. That's impressive. So how many years with America? I didn't know it was that long.
26.
Jeez. And how is that possible? And you're only 35. I don't know how
I
that.
know, right? I'm trying to understand that as well.
Yeah. Well, wonderful, wonderful. Anything else you want to share with our audience? Who you are?
Sure. I mean, again, a mother to an amazing son who has blessed me with the ability to be able to follow him throughout his athletic career. He originally started out playing soccer, and then, we wanted to see where he fit best. And then he had many different opportunities to play basketball, not only through school, but then also through different organizations. And then we realized that for his size and his build, that football was going to be his strength. And
Mm.
that was going to be what was going to allow him to be able to go to college on a scholarship and be able to, show all his great ability on the field. He's also an amazing student athlete who's doing some great things currently at the University of Kansas as well. So I'm just excited about his progress and just the ability to be his mom and stand beside him and watch him through his growth.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I just, I was searching the internet, and it's not hard to find all of the work, the body of work that you've done, Amir, when it comes to to basketball, to football. So you attended West Bloomfield High School in 2023. You earned a 24/7 sports composite ranking for 4 stars. We did a whole episode about stars because I really didn't know what 4 stars, 5 star, all that meant. And so that's an amazing accomplishment. You were the number 291 overall player nationally, the number 13 in interior offensive lineman, and the number 4 player in the state of Michigan. You were rated as a 4 star prospect by ESPN, number 170 overall player in the country, the number 11 player in the region, and the number 7 guard and the number 7 player in the state of Michigan. Rivals.com, 4 star prospect, the number 21 offensive guard in the nation, and the number 9 player in Michigan. Named a 4 star prospect with 24/7 Sports. We interviewed them as well. I just want to, you are a 2-time all state selection in Detroit Free Press, 3 star all OAAR region, Polynesian Bowl all-star selection, part of the Lakers 2020 Michigan High School Students Athletic Association Division I state championship team that finished 11-1 for the who beat y'all? Who was the one?
Oh yeah, we lost to Clarkson. We lost to
Okay.
Clarkson overtime by a field goal
Oh
that
wow.
year.
Wow. For
So
the program's first ever, can I say first ever state title during his sophomore year? Amir helped lead the West Bloomfield to 39-7 overall record in his 4 years as a starter. Part of his 10-2 season, his freshman in 2019, not too long ago, and his junior 2021 years. He finished 8-2 in his senior year. The Lakers won 3 Oakland Athletics Association Red Conference and District title. I can go on and on and on and on. Credited with 85 pancake blocks. I don't know what that is. For West Bloomfield offensive line as a senior, and as a junior, helped protect his quarterback with over 2,300 all-purpose yards and 41 touchdowns. It is amazing, amazing, amazing. We also want to shout out, this is Moms in a Huddle, but also want to shout out to our friend Idris, who is his amazing dad. So shout out to Idris. So without further ado, we want to really get started with what y'all laughing about? Well, listen, I think you just mentioned it. You talked about, Amir started off in soccer. Obviously, he played basketball with Jonathan. And with that, I actually want to play something real quick because I talked about, the times that we were hanging out at many, many tournaments And I just happened to find this real silly video. I'm gonna show Amir, I don't even know if you remember this, but we used to
Mommy, look at them.
y'all see
The guy got in on it too.
I gotta get the music. I gotta hear the music with it.
So fun.
Get off that ball. Get off that ball.
that was middle. There were many, many nights like that.
While Black Boy was dancing like he had like a
I don't know what that was, Amir.
we was dancing like we didn't know where he was at.
Yeah. It was an amazing experience to watch you guys grow from. I think it was elementary, middle
It
school.
was. I mean, they played together. I think they
Starting in fourth grade.
were in the fourth grade, third or fourth grade.
Yes, I think that was it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I have many videos like that, Amir. So whenever I need
Oh,
to
man.
bribe anybody, I pull. And what's interesting, Christina, I post some of them on my Facebook page. Do you know they on some of the students at Wisconsin go and find it and post it on social media? And Jonathan has sent me, can you please take some of that stuff down because they snatching it up anyway. So my question for you, Christina, is when did you realize football just wasn't just a sport in your house? It was a family. Because I really want to talk about not only Amir, but the family dynamics with your brother and your nephew. That football is just part of what y'all do.
Yeah, so it is. We come from a lineage of football, and my dad played at the University of Detroit. We always tease him and say when they had leather helmets. But you know, my dad is, you know, he played college football. But Amir started at the age of 6. And so, well, he started out playing flag football and he wouldn't stop tackling people. So we had to pay him to not tackle people during flag football. So his dad went and sought out a team because he felt like Amir was ready to play tackle because he's always been a bigger size kid, always above his, you know, height and weight for his age. And so his dad went out and found a team where Amir could play tackle and put on some pads. And so Amir was 6 when he started tackle football. And that was with the Farmington Rockets. Thank you, Amir. Okay. So he started at 6 with the Farmington Rockets. And then we left the Rockets and we went to the Southfield Jayhawks. You know, which was, you know, big at the time. You know, unfortunately, they're no longer an organization, but they were for many years. And they, you know, produced some really, you know, good athletes from there. And then when we left there, Amir went to the Southfield Falcons.
Right.
He played for, you know, he played with them for several years. And then he left the Falcons and we went to the Rams. And he played with the Rams. And then he came back to the Falcons. Did you come back to the Falcons for a year? No, he did not come back to the Falcons. He went to go play for the Detroit Spartans. And that was his last year of Little League. And so, you know, just the process of him learning the game and, you know, getting bigger, stronger, faster. He's always been a lineman. You know, that's been, you know, where he landed, where he started, where he landed. Very successful at it. He played on the Detroit Spartans his last year of playing Little League. And that was a stellar team. He played with Dante Moore was the quarterback. Amir blocked for him, who is now the quarterback at Oregon. Did amazing things there, played with some other stellar players. And so just an exciting opportunity. And then it came time for high school, and he went to West Bloomfield, where he started as a freshman, as a true freshman, and lots of success there. And then, you know, was highly recruited. And then it just we realized by Amir's junior year, because he played basketball all the way up to his junior year of high school. And then we just had to start making some more formal decisions about how it looked and how things were going, his weight. People wanted him in a certain, weight bracket. And, he was, gaining and, still very strong, but a different body structure from the basketball world.
Right.
And so we realized that it was his junior year that he wasn't coming back to go to EYBL.
Okay.
And that we had to
make
a decision. To just stay firm and just get, better at his craft with football. So
that's
yeah.
Yeah, well, you hear quite often. Obviously, I'm married to an athletic director, and athletic directors highly recommend students play multiple sports, right? And it gets to that high school year when they have to determine what is going to be my primary sport, right? And so we saw a lot of students or a lot of our friends kind of split off and decide and make a choice, whatever that sport is. I think my youngest son had a friend that was a great baseball player and a great basketball player, but he chose baseball, right? And so that's not uncommon. So parents, if you're in elementary school, you're in middle school, you got some time to make a decision. But certainly when you get to high school, your child is probably or you're going to have to help your child make a decision. And you can you can play multiple sports, but it's good to kind of focus on one. So Amir, so you have been playing soccer. You started soccer, you were playing basketball and football. What's one thing that people assume, again, about football? I'm a basketball mom. I'm married into a football player. I'm a football family. Reggie McKenzie, Glenn's uncle, played football, played for University of Michigan, played in the NFL. Glenn's cousin played football in high school, played in college, and also went into the NFL. So I'm a little bit familiar with football, but I'm not. And so can you tell me what's one thing people assume about an offensive lineman that you wish they understood directly?
That sometimes they're going to get beat. Like, it's just the nature of the position.
Mm-hmm.
Of like, I know when like a lot of people watch games, like when the quarterback is getting sacked, you'll be like, wow, that was on the offensive line. The offensive line is terrible. It's a position in which doesn't get enough credit, but when they don't do their jobs,
right,
it's on full blast.
Right.
So I would say like it's a thankless position and you're an unsung hero at the end of the day. Your name's probably not going to be on the newspaper the next morning. But when you do your job, everybody around you know you're doing your job well.
Oh, yeah.
So as long as the people in the locker room know you're doing your job well and you're putting your team in the best position you can possibly be in, then that's one thing I'll say about offensive line play that's really like big, like that the average person doesn't understand that like offensive line play is hard. You're going against an athlete that's better than you most likely every game.
Well, when I read how many times you made sure your quarterback would hit, listen. When I watch sports, I think I was talking to Erica and I saw her son get hit. I said, "Oh Jesus, I don't know how you can watch that." But when I see the offensive lineman and protect the quarterback, I hope I'm saying this correctly. Christina, help me out. Mm-hmm. That if he didn't have that position, oh my God, moms would be like, wait a minute, we gotta play this a little bit differently. So you're correct. I think that's a position that doesn't get all the glory that it needs, but it's certainly, I want to think about the ways in which people play. If they did not have that position, it would be a terrible sport. And I would be trying to pull my child out of that sport.
I agree. Yeah, it's like Amir said, it's a position that does not get a lot of praise, or the players don't get a lot of highlights. But if it was not for the trenches,
yes,
the quarterback is would be unprotected. So
absolutely.
They should get a lot of praise because what they do is they're the ones sacrificing and making sure that the quarterback is safe. Yeah. So again, I sit week after week just watching him go up against guys that are heavier than him. I mean, and sometimes it doesn't matter. It's position, it's skill. So,
Yeah.
he does a really good job because, he's been doing it, he's trained. And so, it's exciting just to see the growth. But I agree, when you're protecting the quarterback, who is the most
Yes.
important person on the team, because if they get taken out, then I mean, who's going to throw the ball, who's going to pass the ball. So yeah, I agree. I think that the offensive line don't get enough praise where they really should.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I want to take us back again. Obviously, we know you're in college now, but I want to talk about your high school foundation. Like, what was the biggest lesson from being a part of a championship program? Like, what did that season teach you about preparation and pressure and going to the next level? Talk about that, because there was some years that they hadn't had a championship to celebrate. So what was that like for you as an individual, as a team, and then what did that prepare you for going to the next level?
So my first day at West Bloomfield, a lot of people don't know this story, but my first day at West Bloomfield, I was like, why is there no football banner? Like, why we don't, they said we only celebrate championships. We don't celebrate semifinals. We don't celebrate district championships. Like, that's just how the school is. Like, you don't get a banner if you don't win a championship.
Wow.
So that was the big thing coming in as a freshman, wanting to win a championship there, knowing that I can be one of the pieces to the team, that like a team that was already had the resources and already had the roster that was going to be good and competing for championships. They just needed to take the next step. And from that season, just learning really the discipline and the details. The details of football is so big. Football is, like people say, a game of inches. And we had a really good season. We had a lot of big wins, but that Clarkston loss really taught us that, it's a game of inches. We went into overtime. We didn't convert on fourth down. They converted, field goal, won the game. Wow. It's just a game of inches. And really at the end of the day, it's really carried over to college, because the smallest margin of error is the difference between wins and losses. It truly is game of inches.
Wow. Well, listen, so that's interesting when you can think about that as an adult, right? When the smallest area that you may not be paying attention to can make a difference that you win or lose in life, right? And so you're learning that at an early age. You talked about, and then what I also hear is that you already had a winner's attitude freshman in high school, asking the questions. Wait a minute, why you looking around? What's going on? And so you came in with a determination that I think we already have the pieces in place. We can win this thing. And so you have young people. I just love hearing that when you have young people that already have that mental capacity to say, I can do X, Y, and Z, and then go after it. And then also think about the difference between inches. That's one small error can make the difference of us winning and us losing. So I love that. Thank you so much for that. So Christina, so my question for you is, what did you learn as a mom during those high school years about supporting without steering? Because that's always, we've been in the trenches for a long time. Boys, we want to help, but sometimes we want to steer and control. And so what did that teach you in high school going over into college?
I learned to be a parent. A lot of times, we want to be actively involved, but you learn that, there is a role, and parents should be parents, and you should allow coaches to coach. And so throughout high school, I learned that, being an active parent, as far as helping out and making sure that they had what they needed, when they were off the field, and then when they were on the field, because we recognize that this is this, Jill, it's a handful of parents that could really be there all the time. Right. And so, I knew that it was an important space to constantly be active and make sure that they had what they needed from a parent's perspective. and help the coaches out in those areas and fields to make sure the boys were fed. The boys had, whatever was needed for halftime, and just, stay in my lane. And so I learned real quick from high school to college that the lane for a parent is the seat that they assign you to week after week. So, there is a space for us as parents. But, I come from a family of, my dad coached Little League, my brothers coach, high school football. They, so, I hear it, I'm in a room where they're talking about how things go and how things don't go. And so being a parent and just being a parent is very important, and supporting the, the work of the players and the team and the coaches is everything to, help and assist with their ability to win. So, that's important.
That's so important. That's really critical, knowing your play. And I think our roles change. Again, we talked about, we've been in the huddle, we've been in the trenches together since elementary, middle school, and high school. Now in college, the role as a parent changes, right? And so we have to have the ability to change with the times, right?
Right.
So we may have been, at some time, we were supporting, supplying, driving, all of that, and steering, right? But then it is, okay, you are at a certain age, you need to make a decision, all of those things. So I want to talk about decisions, right? So we're in high school, we're senior in high school, and now it's recruiting time. I remember talking to you, Christina, you were like, girl, I don't know how many trips y'all were taking. Like, you guys were flying out. What can you talk about the recruiting process? Like, what mattered the most for you guys in choosing a program? Was it relationships, development plans, academics? I know that's one. I can already say that. Like, culture, how far you lived away from home. Can you talk about the recruiting process and what that looked like?
Sure. Amir's recruitment started very early. He received his very first Division I scholarship offer in the 8th grade.
Wow.
And the second one came within 2 weeks of his very first one. And so as he would go out, and one thing I love about Amir then and even now is he was not afraid to compete. So, he wanted to go out to these different area competitions when he was invited. I mean, we would drive, we would fly, we made it possible. And his dad and I, many hours, many miles, we did what it needed to do to get him exposure, because like we said, he's not a skill player, so skill players get all this, love. And now in the world of this 7-on-7, linemen still don't even really have that type of exposure. They do have little camps and stuff, but it's different. Right. So we made a conscious effort to go out and have him compete. And, he has he's very competitive, but a very winning spirit. And so Amir would get out there and he would compete. And so he started, things started, coming fast and quick, and he was getting offers and invites, and we would go all over. And his junior year, we went to 17 colleges in 1 month. Wow. And these were schools that were heavily, looking, we wanted to make it a rewarding process, but also we wanted to make some good decisions because we're talking about.
I'm sorry, say that one more time. In his junior year, 17 colleges.
17 colleges in 1 month.
There's only 4 weeks in 4 weeks in a month.
I will tell you this, in 1 week's time, we covered Atlanta, Alabama.
We went to Alabama, Auburn, Georgia Tech,
Morehouse.
That was
Northwestern.
Went to Northwestern.
We drove back home. We flew back home and we got in a car and we went to Northwestern and Notre Dame all in 1 week.
Jeez.
Yeah,
wide
so
world.
we had a calendar.
Yeah.
We went to
Clemson,
Auburn, Clemson. When I tell you
LSU.
LSU, we covered 17 colleges in 1 month.
Yeah. I remember that
But
time.
yeah, but it was an opportunity. We set this our calendar. We made it happen because we knew that it was going to be crucial and important for Amir to start making some real sound decisions on
Right.
where he wanted to be the next 4 or 5 years. And
Yeah.
so that was important to him, so we made it important to us. We even flew out to Vegas, where Amir was able to compete in the Polynesian Bowl. He got invited to come out. He competed for 3 days and landed an invite to an all expense paid trip to Hawaii to compete in the Polynesian Bowl, in which we did. We went and he started, and it was an amazing experience. So, one thing I would say to parents that are on this journey is that it's a lot, but it's a short window.
Yeah.
And, I encourage you, if you have the ability, to gas up and make those trips. Some of them you will have to fly to, but it's all about the exposure of your athlete. And the more they're seeing, the more attention, the more offers, the more they'll get to be able to have a platform to display their talent. And so that was important to us. It was important to Amir. And so the recruitment process was very different, because I will be honest with you. He had several, great options and opportunities. And then he ultimately decided to stay home and attend the University of Michigan. So I was not expecting that, but that was a decision that he made, and we honored it.
Oh, wow. Well, let's talk about that. So, Amir, you made a decision to choose the University of Michigan Go Blue, right? And so, and I know it was for two reasons, because Christina, you and I talked about it. One
Mhm.
was academically, right?
Mhm.
Let's talk about your decision. Because oftentimes, again, you're still a high schooler, right? And so we have been in the seat making parents have been in the seat making decisions for you, right? So we do it as a family, but ultimately it's your decision. So talk about your decision to choose the University of Michigan.
So my recruitment started really early. So offers was coming in left and right, just deciding like where I wanted to go, where I wanted to be, like different regions of the country. And then I broke it down to a top 8. 5 of those programs was in the Big Ten,
Okay.
and 3 of those programs were in other conferences. And then I broke it down to 4 between Nebraska, Boston College, Missouri, and Michigan. And those were I took official visits at in the month of June before my senior year. And I liked all of those places like the most. And those are the places I felt that I had the best relationships with the people,
Right.
truly. And every visit was different. Every visit was in a different region of the country.
Yeah.
And I got to see different things and experience super nice opportunities. And it was honestly an unbelievable experience. Like it was an experience that I'll like never forget. Going on these visits, meeting people that I still have friendships with to today,
That's
just
awesome.
from the weekends that I went to that school. And maybe we both didn't go to that school, but we still have the friendship that we gained during that weekend.
Wow. Wow.
And ultimately, made the decision choosing Michigan. Originally, it wasn't going to be Michigan for me. It was interesting with Michigan, and it was very up and down. Honestly, throughout my whole recruitment, as other schools came on, it would just go hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, and to the end, I felt when I got to talk to Coach Harbaugh more at the end of my process and talking about plans to get to the NFL, education, the opportunity to win a national championship in my backyard
Wow.
at the hometown school. and ultimately making a difference, and really just going to the Big Ten. That's a conference that I wanted to, genuinely, that's the conference I've always grew up watching. And that's really the reason why I chose Michigan, and just the overall progress of offensive linemen to the NFL and guys from Michigan going to play at Michigan really made the decision for me to go to Michigan.
Yeah, that's awesome. Wonderful story. So you're at Michigan, you play there, and you make a decision that I'm going into the portal. Was it the portal back then?
Yeah, the transfer portal.
Yeah. Was it transfer portal back then? Okay, so you decide that you're going to another school, and so you make a commitment that I'm going to Kansas. And so talk to us about that decision. You committed to Kansas.
I know a lot of people talk about, man, I'm going to go to the portal. I'm going to see what's the better opportunities. But sometimes people don't understand this about the portal, that you're really going into the portal optimistic at what schools you're going to have, or what's the opportunities you're going to have at the different school. Are you going to be in the same situation that you were previously in, or worse, or it could get better? Yeah. So the transfer portal, that's the thing that allows, to see different things, different opportunities. And it was crazy. In the span of a week, I had 30 places to go to school at.
Woo!
Just talking to coaches every day for about 3 to 4 days, just of constant calls, constant text messages, constant communication with different schools, seeing when I could come on a visit. And ultimately, my relationship with Kansas, we hit it off after the first conversation of already knowing a guy who's from here who recruits this area, Chris Simpson. He's our linebackers coach. And he does a really good job recruiting in this area. We have 4 guys on the team that's currently from Michigan. So awesome. He does a really good job. And then my O-line coach, Derek Posa, he's a native of Hawaii. So I had my connections from the Polynesian Bowl of, playing with Polynesian players, and his background living in Hawaii and coaching in the Big Ten at Minnesota, and also in the MAC conference at Northern Illinois, and spending his time with the Green Bay Packers, where he's an analyst. So that's why it made me really want to go there, and, showing me different things of how they talk in the NFL and how he can develop me as a player and as a person, ultimately really drew me to Kansas.
That's good.
And that's why I decided really to go to Kansas. And I knew we were going to build something special and unique. Every decision that I made in my football career has been one of unique and different.
Yeah.
So I feel like this was the next move that is going to be different and shocking.
Yeah. So one of the reasons you see me keep grinning over here, and so when you watch a kid just grow and matriculate, and to see him become a mature man, that's what I'm looking at. So I remember you, Amir, as a little boy, right? And I'm hearing you articulate like people, the co-workers that I work with. I'm like, this is smart. He's no longer a kid. This is a grown young man. And so I love that. So Christina, one of the things we talk about on Moms in a Huddle is, these are our babies, right? Even though they're grown, they're always going to be our babies. And so how did you support him through the transfer? And, emotionally, all of the things, because they're making a decision, right? That's their decision, but you're going through that with them. And this is your baby.
Yeah. You know what? It was tough, Jill. I mean, we're talking about him being an hour away versus an hour drive versus 11-hour drives, or even thinking about another school that he thought about going to that was almost a 5-hour plane ride. Jeez. So, it was a very emotional week. Amir did not want to be in the portal long. I mean, he couldn't keep up. They were calling. They started calling me. And I was like, Coach, I don't make decisions, but I will definitely talk. Well, we heard you the person behind them. I said, definitely am.
Right.
But, I wanted him to have several things in place. I wanted him, number one, to be happy.
That's it.
Number one, to be happy. Number two, I wanted him to make a decision that was his decision, because you have to live with it.
Yeah. That's
and like I told him, I support whatever you do. I'm going to be there regardless. Yeah. And then the third thing is I wanted him to grow. I wanted him to, being only an hour away, I still had access. I was still able to, drive and say, oh, I think you were thirsty. Here's some Gatorades when they have packs of Gatorades in the facility, and then, I just wanted him to be able to, continue to mature, to be the young man that he is, but also continue to be successful and continue to, figure out his academic journey, because, Amir, was really in a good space at the University of Michigan because, of his wanting to go into the medical field. Right. So, we really, we talked to Coach Harbaugh about that, and, with Coach Harbaugh leaving, that was really hard, and that can happen anywhere. We get it. Coaches come and they go. But, Coach Harbaugh was very instrumental in Amir's recruitment. He was also very instrumental in just being a coach's coach. And, when Amir made the decision to leave, we supported that. And so we were just, in the space of, we want this to be whatever decision you make, we want you to go and land somewhere where you can establish yourself to where you don't have to go back into this, because that portal is brutal. And like Amir said, it's good, but it has some good, but it also could, be, a little devastating, because you're not the only person there. So if you don't make a quick decision, you can miss out on your opportunity. And so as fast as it's coming, it's going just that fast.
Jeez.
So so it was and Amir didn't want to be in the portal long, and he made it, he let us know, and coaches were calling, they were coming to town, and they were offering, we were going to fly out. It's truly, it's something that you have to, deal with and figure out real quick, but you have to make good, sound decisions. And so, when Amir decided, at first we thought he was going a different direction. And then he said, Mom, I'm going to Kansas. And I just, asked him, I was thinking about the 11-hour drive. And I said, well,
you sure, me? Right.
Mom can't get there in like a couple hours. Is this, and he just, Amir's always been a critical thinker, like, Mom, this is what this is what I see. This is what I'm thinking. And so, he made that decision, and he's been there, and it has truly, it has worked out in his favor. I mean, he is doing great things. And
so let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. I've watched, I've seen, followed you through social media. So you're now in Kansas. I love saying that you're in Kansas now, because I think it's Wizard of Oz. So what would you say, Amir? What's been the biggest change in your game since arriving at Kansas? Is it like different technique, your strength, film study, your confidence? What's different? What have you seen change in your game?
Confidence.
That's
confidence, gaining confidence just throughout the weeks of just playing this year, and just having the opportunity, knowing you have a coaching staff behind you that got full belief in you. That goes a long way.
Absolutely, 100%.
And the psychological standpoint of football, if you don't have confidence, it's hard to do your job at the highest level you can do it.
Wow.
So
yeah, you hear that from again, I'm married to AD who played basketball. He talks about that a lot, that if your confidence is shot, you could be the best. I'm gonna go through basketball. You can be the best 3-point shooter, but if you ain't, because he'll say it's mental. It's all mental. So that's great feedback. So that's so good to hear that you have the support of your coaches. They believe in you. And now you're seeing your confidence is now transferring over to your playing. And so for you, Amir, I just want to ask another question just about your experience, your development. I think your bio said the KU's bio said you describe your play as 150% and having a mean streak. Now I'm trying to figure out where this mean streak is. I mean, how do you flip that switch while staying composed? Because I've never seen, maybe once or twice on the basketball court, but you've always been like the most respectful, and it's a game, respectful. Maybe I just haven't been paying attention. But talk about the mean streak?
Football is just so physical. Like it's just the way of the game. If you can't be physical, then it's not the sport for you, unfortunately. Yeah. So just the physicality, the grit, the toughness that you just have to play with, especially playing in the trenches, offensive line, defensive line. It's a thankless job. So you really have to have the mindset of, I'm going to move that person from point A to point B against their will.
Wow.
That's pretty much.
Oh, you going to move. You going to move. I love it. So one of the things that I know of, so we could talk about this from high school and college. So, and I mentioned this earlier, is you're a football family. Your dad played, but Christina, your brother played. Mm-hmm. Your nephew, I want to make sure your nephew is playing. Mm-hmm. So talk about what does that feel like? So your brother championship here in Southfield.
Yeah.
Now over at Brother Rice. So talk about your family dynamics and what type of impact that has had on your son growing up.
Absolutely. I mean, we are a football family for sure. Again, like I said, my dad coached all my brothers growing up. I was the cheerleading coach, so I had a job too. But they all have played Division I football. All of us have, gone to college on scholarships. And my youngest brother, he played. He's a quarterback, so he came from an area of space where, we totally get. You're the only one in that space. And so he's won a high school championship in Chicago. He went to high school. He started here at Brother Rice, and then he moved out and went to Chicago and won a high school championship at Mount Carmel. And he is now, he won a high school championship as a head coach at Southfield A&T a couple of years ago. And then now he's the head football coach at Brother Rice. Right. But he also coached my nephew, who is currently at Kansas with Amir, who is a quarterback. So who could learn, or who knows better than anyone, is my youngest brother, who is, was his coach and his mentor. Yeah. But then my brother, who is Isaiah's dad, played at Northwestern.
Wow.
He was a running back. So, here we go. And then my brother that's under me, Willis, he played at Youngstown State as a receiver and went on to win championship rings in the Arena Bowl as well as Canadian. So yes, they have all played. We come from a football family. We talk football all the time. But what I can say is that Amir has played for my middle brother in Little League at one time or the other. And so he's had the ability to be coached by him. And, he has the ability to talk to them about football, So it's really a great, like I said, we have a lineage of, football family and football players. But what I will say is that it's an opportunity for us as a family to continuously, build our legacies, right? Yeah. So we have Amir, we have Isaiah, who are both at Kansas. Isaiah's a quarterback, and Amir's again the offensive lineman who will protect Isaiah. So we had that opportunity several times this year where Amir was blocking for Isaiah. And it was just it was an electrifying experience. Amir did an interview a couple of weeks ago in Kansas, and he said, if you don't know about him, you will know. And so, it's Isaiah's time, and so we're excited and we're looking forward to that. We know that Amir is going to continue to make sure that, you know, he keeps his space protected. Amir didn't have any sacks on the quarterback this year. And so going into, you know, this next season, you know, I'm sure that's the same plan for him again, especially knowing that Isaiah will be back there and he's going to be protecting him. So it's exciting. I mean, when I say that, you know, we talk football all the time because, you know, the boys are playing, you know, they're coaching, they're all over at Brother Rice coaching. And so it's just a great experience. And we're excited about, you know, what this season is going to look like, you know, and how we will, you know, how things all come together.
I love it. I mean, when I think about, again, you have an amazing family. I remember, I think your brother was at A&T on the football field with his Brother Rice stuff on. So I don't think he knew who I was, but I'm a Brother Rice mama, right? And so I went up to the big old guy. I said, because he's at A&T, and I was like, so your brother Rice? He was like, yeah. I was like, okay. So I know. I mean, so it's close to time. We're at 7:55. We could talk all day. I want us to kind of close out just with a couple of thoughts. Actually, two things. One, Erica teases me about this all the time. So yeah, I'm a host of Moms in a Huddle. I have 3 boys. And one of the things we do, we get in your business. We get in your business because every time, you know, you're an athlete, you're a handsome young man. What's going on with the girlies down at school? We always, this is, and Erica say, you always get in folks' business. Yes, I am. And so talk to us about that. You know, when we talk about balance, because we send our children to go to school and the focus and the, you know, you're on a scholarship. I know you're academically always like paying attention to the books. I think you're going to graduate early. So you certainly have got things in order. And so I just have to ask for the audience, for the other moms, how are you balancing that? And are you like dating? Do you bring a young lady into the picture with all the other things that you got going on?
So like just school and football is just a balance. Honestly, time management is the best word.
Yeah.
Really, when it comes to overall just football and school and planning things and making sure you just have enough time for just people to do regular college kid things, just like going out to eat, going out to the movies, hanging with your teammates. Everything is about decisions, going back to decisions, but time management is a big piece of it. And then dating, I have a girlfriend, and so she plays on the softball team at Kansas.
Okay, you got an athlete. You know, one of the things you hear from athletes is that when they date other athletes, they understand the grind that it takes, and so they're not pressuring you, hopefully, but they understand the grind that this person is on a scholarship, has to take care of business. So it's good to hear, and I'm sure she's a wonderful young lady because your mama ain't gonna have nothing. Your mama's not gonna have nothing different. That's all I know. Anyway, coming to a close. So, you know, I always want to ask this question. And I'll just ask this question for Christina, and then I'll close it with Amir. Like, what would you tell a parent who is in the stands right now, worried about their kid's path? Like, maybe it doesn't look perfect. Maybe they think they have the formula. You know, we don't have the formula. I could just say that. But what would you say? What advice would you give to the parent about the process and the journey that you've gone through?
I would just tell a parent, and this is from experience, you know, you have to continue to support your athlete and keep God first. You know, you have to, if you're a Christian, you have to pray a lot, you know, for many reasons. But I would say, you know, continue to keep them a priority. Check on your child's mental health. Make sure that, you know, they're, you know, talking to you and that you're in a space where they're comfortable with coming to you. I think it's very important that we continue to be parents and, you know, no matter how old they get or how old that, you know, or adult that they think they may be, we are still there, and we're their support system and their lifelines. And so continue to do that and be that for your children.
I love that. And I think sometimes we had an episode when we talked about where our children are coming home for the holidays, and how do we spend time with them, but don't be overbearing because we miss them, right? And so Jonathan came on and talked about it. And one of the things he said is, I just want to sleep. Can we not try to visit everybody? And and so I love what Amir said, is that oftentimes student athletes don't have an opportunity just to be a student, to enjoy college life, because they have a very rigorous, not only academic schedule, but a play schedule. And so it's good to hear that when you are, the advice that I hear you're giving is, just be available. Don't be a burden. Establish a relationship where they can call you and feel comfortable calling you and asking the questions. But really that starts really elementary, middle school, and high school. So when they are an adult, they feel like talking to you. Amir, what would be some last advice that you would give the parents about, their student athletes?
I would just say, enjoy the process. You have to love the process ultimately. It might not be what you think it is or envision for yourself, but that's life, honestly.
Yeah.
Wherever you go, it's gonna be highs, there's gonna be lows, there's gonna be changes, there's gonna be positive moments, there's gonna be negative moments. So I'll just say, enjoy the process and develop a village. A village is big, because at every different place I've been at, I've been able to establish a village of people, a village of friends, a village of administrators, a village of mentors, just to lean on, because sometimes your parents are not going to be available. They're not going to be sometimes the best people to talk to about what you have to talk to.
Right.
So developing a village where you at, like I've developed villages at West Bloomfield, I've developed villages at University of Michigan, development villages at the University of Kansas, and just meeting different people and just loving really just the people you're around and you surrounded by on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So really, I'd just say, really just developing a village and loving and enjoying the process.
I love that. What an awesome way to end this episode. We talked about the family code. We talked about, the time that we spent with the family, and you ended with the village. So I'm certainly honored to be a part of your village for the number of years that I have been. Your mother has been a blessing to me. You have certainly just encouraged and been just a good friend to Jonathan. Again, friends are people that you don't necessarily have to see all the time, but when you see them, it's as if you haven't seen it. You see each other every day. So I just love that about you guys. And really, what I really love is y'all just good young men. Like we're not trying to pat ourselves on the back, Christina. It's a pretty good job of raising these young men. So I just want to say thank you for hanging out with us and Moms in the Huddle. And so one of the things that we ask you to do before you leave, just individually say, I'm in the huddle.
Okay. I'm in the huddle.
Yeah.
Huddle.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll talk to you soon. Next week, Monday, we're coming back for another episode of Moms in the Huddle, where no parent stands alone. Have a good night, everyone. Talk to you soon.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.